Hello and welcome to a brand new Player 2 Plays. My name is Paul James and today we are playing Ratchet and Clank, the 2016 remake slash remaster reboot of the original Ratchet and Clank game. Now I'm going to say it's more like a reboot because in this game we're kind of looking at the original adventure but through a totally different lens. And that'll become clear in the next minute or so, so we'll kind of kick it off. Yeah, we'll overwrite. I've done this once before and then I didn't look after my computer very well and the frame rate dropped through the floor. So we're doing it again. We are joined by my dog Pippa today, who's trying to creep under the... Where is she? You can see a little nose probably popping into the corner of my screen every now and then. Yeah, it's a reboot of the original game. We take a look at everything through the perspective of Captain Quark, who is the big, lovable superhero oaf that we're introduced to through the course of the series. We'll see him in just a moment. And it's a really funny take on the original adventure.
Greetings, new fish. I'm
Captain Quark. I don't believe it. You're here. I used to dream of being arrested by you.
Now get out of here. I was talking to you, Zed.
Yes, Captain.
So, new fish, I take it you followed my many adventures?
Of course I have. You're the most famous superhero in the galaxy.
He ain't famous anymore.
Words hurt, Solitary Bill.
I'm a huge fan. I even pre-ordered the new Ratchet and Clank holo game.
The what?
You know, the game based on that incident with you and that Lombax.
Oh, you must mean the holo film. Yeah, it's pretty good, if you like all CG.
No, I mean the game. It's based on the holo film. Look, here's my confirmation email. I'm having it mag shipped to prison.
They're making a game based on a holo film based on my life? But they haven't even consulted
Yes,
me.
so it did link in with the film that came out in the same year, which is, yeah, an adaptation of the movie, and this is an adaptation, sorry, it's an adaptation of the game, and this is an adaptation of the movie that is an adaptation of the game. It's very meta.
Sit down, wary criminal, and I'll tell you a story. It all started with a hapless Lombax named Ratchet.
Sprung.
Where do you think you're going?
One of the great things about this franchise is the incredible attention to detail that Insomniac puts into, obviously, the mechanical aspects, and we'll see that once we get into gameplay soon, but the visuals. The Ratchet and Clank games, and more specifically, I guess, from Tools of Destruction onwards, and that was the first of the PS3 entries, they look like Pixar movies. They look truly incredible. They really hit it out of the park in all respects, and I love the Ratchet and Clank franchise. Bit of calibration stuff. Let's get our camera going.
Look up. Do you see something flashing?
Yep. Left side looks good.
It's a miracle. Onto the
Down
afterburner
low.
light.
Lower left afterburner light checks out.
Top right.
This thing might just be space worthy after all.
Oh no, bottom right.
Lower right afterburner works. So, are we good?
Yep, we're good. The news says the tryouts are being held at the fairgrounds. Show them what you got, kid.
Alright, let's get moving.
And so Ratchet began his adventure, hoping to become a galactic ranger.
Now, Ratchet and Clank, I mean, at first blush, you'll think, oh yeah, this is a game about melee, if you've not played any of the past Ratchet games. You know, up close and personal, swinging with your spanner here and kind of, or the Omni Wrench, I guess, and doing a lot of damage. But in reality, it's more about the guns, and that is another, or not necessarily the guns, but the ranged arsenal that you'll have, because it may not necessarily be a gun. One of the great strengths of Insomniac is their creativity. And we've seen it in plenty of past Ratchet games, we've seen it in the Resistance franchise, we've seen it even in Fuse, which, despite being a bad game that EA totally ruined for them, sorry EA, it's your fault, was, still showed promise when it came to weapon design. And of course, most recently, Sunset Overdrive. It's the weapon design that's one of Insomniac's great strengths and allows you to do some weird, wacky, wonderful things. But it means that you're not up close and personal like it may seem in the first 10 minutes of the game.
Ratchet used the warrior's time-honored tradition of jumping.
Now, I'll make sure I don't spend too much of my time collecting bolts here, but I do love the...
Should he find himself on the verge of death, he'd need to find nanotech to heal.
I use that stuff after a bank robbery once.
I do love the look of those. It's the particles. It's like how Sony made a big thing about Knack when it first came out, and what you saw with the little pieces of relic that went flying towards Knack. The same sort of thing applies here. Like, the way it looks as those bolts go flying towards Ratchet is fantastic. It's slick. It's simple. It's no fuss.
Was just saving up bolts so we could buy a new weapon to protect the galaxy with.
I think Pippa wants to go out, so I'll deal with that. And we'll continue on.
With his enemies vanquished, Ratchet forged ahead. His destination.
So there was lots of little improvements and little things made, but something that I really enjoyed about this was the narration by Quark. Humor's obviously, it's another one of Insomniac's strengths, but they really nailed it here, being able to break the fourth wall, get very meta, take the piss out of themselves a bit. It was something I really appreciated.
Welcome to the Galactic Ranger recruitment event. Get ready to change side and let's take another medal. Are you ready to be a Galactic Ranger? What about you, Ray? Ready to dispense some justice? I good luck, future Ranger.
Hello, recruit. Cora Baralux here. Show us how quick you can be on your feet by jumping over these obstacles.
And we're through.
A good ranger is always mindful of their surroundings. Hop across these moving platforms.
Any of you who've been asking for tips, say to
Cool. We'll keep going.
Galactic Protector. Whenever my life is in jeopardy, I think of one simple guideline. Try not to die. I find that keeping this in my mind's brain helps me remember that when I see a
Keeping it in my mind's brain, he says.
I should duck.
Hey, that was pretty good. Keep moving. It's time to get our hands on some firepower. Go ahead and grab a fusion grenade glove from this Gadgetron vendor.
So, like I said, it's not all just about the melee side. It is about your ranged weapons, and the fusion grenade is the first thing that I can pick up. I do have the ability to, to buy more health if I need, but there's no real reason. I don't think I took a hit there at all so far. We'll restock in a moment. There we go.
The galaxy is of perilous fate, as evidenced by the large amounts of ammunition.
That's the first hit I've taken so far. Strafing is something really important. You can see me just bouncing left and right there. Now, there's enough weapon drops for you to not need to be conservative, but they're not so frequent that you can just spam them all the time. And if you are the sort that does kind of go hammer and tong with your weapons, prepare to learn a lot about the different weapons to Ratchet's arsenal, because you're going to burn through them quite regularly and you're going to need... I collected a duplicate. And you're going to need to take advantage of everything he's got. So, and that's fine. The arsenal is fantastic, but there is a horses for courses aspect to some of these weapons as well.
Brutal onslaught of enemies, and you just might be our next galactic ranger. Or maybe. One down.
Whoa. Looks like some angry toads.
Impressive. Could we be looking at Solana's next galactic ranger?
Keep moving around. It is very important to just...
One down.
I think that might be a lot of them. Yep. It is very important to just keep moving. If you stand still, you do make yourself a very obvious target. So just, even if it's just walking like I was there, you can bounce along if you want to, you know, create that elevated kind of variable involved. But as long as you keep moving, then you make yourself hard to hit, and that's a really important thing in most action games.
Gentlemen, the savior of Solana, Captain Quark. Hello, Veldin.
Hello, Captain!
He's on fire again.
I know.
My name is Copernicus Quark, and yes, that was an impressive wall of fire I just walked past. I'm gonna be real with you.
Just a little visitor in the corner of the screen there.
President Vironix recommended I take on a new ranger. I knew just where to go. That's right. It's
Been a long time. If you're a long time Player 2 viewer, then you might know Pippa from when she was a really little puppy. She used to make some cameo appearances on Patched until her behaviour basically forced us to keep her outside. She's grown up a little bit,
Twice.
though her behaviour can still be a bit of trouble sometimes.
Godlike pectoral region, but if you have heart, then you have what it takes. You don't have what it takes.
But I have heart.
Yes, but unfortunately that heart is encased in a weak, muscleless mass of inexperience. Plus there's your history to consider.
Got a long line of citations here. Possession of an illegal gravity repulsor.
Operation of a black market accelerator.
Willful disruption of the space-time continuum.
That is a funny story.
You're reckless, you're a loose cannon, and you're dangerous. That's my shtick.
Wait, just give me a
Sorry,
chance.
no time. Galaxy in jeopardy. Get back out there. And remember, you can do anything. As long as you're me. Next! Meanwhile, on planet Quartu...
Dr. Nefarious, the mad scientist who made all of this possible.
Mad suggests cognitive impairment. I'm more of a vengeful scientist. I trust you're here to meet the troops.
Nefarious is awesome. He's just got a wonderful sense of humour.
State your prime objective.
Destroy Galactic Rangers.
State your prime hub.
Hello.
Defect detected. Preparing
And he's
for
Clank.
immediate destruction. In 3, 2.
Oh, a defect. Go play, Victor.
The helpless defect knew that his best chance for survival lay with the facility's ventilation system. If he could just run to the vent, he might just make it out of there alive.
I know you will find the defect, Victor. You never just...
Yeah, we'll take our time collecting these bolts while there's no attention being given to us, but that won't last.
The feeble defect knew that if he were to survive, he would have to throw a bomb at whatever lay in his path. The young defect spotted a spring bot ahead of him and knew that with this handy device in his arsenal, he could now defeat the deadliest of forces. Gravity. The hopeless defect had to throw a springbok. But where? And how?
So we'll keep progressing here. Clank is a wonderful foil for what we see from Ratchet. He's a little bit more serious. He, is objective first. Oh, here's the guy coming to get us.
There you are.
Oh my.
Quit your running, you useless piece of scrap.
Keep moving though.
Get back here and let's settle this. Warbot to Warbot.
Yeah, I don't know that Clank's much of a warbot.
Oh no, water.
There we go, we're through. And we'll keep progressing.
Suddenly, the defect spotted a power bot. This device could power
nothing
up
else.
a variety of machines. But where should he throw it?
There we go.
Really good at adding drama, man.
Thank you, Shiv. I pride myself on my penchant for storytelling.
What seems to be the problem, Victor?
You won't get away from me, Sherman. I've got him right where I want him.
We'll keep bouncing along here. So please make sure, if you're enjoying this so far, let me know in the comments what you think about the Ratchet and Clank franchise itself, this particular game, if you've played it. And what you think about the prospect of another game from the franchise. Because we know that Insomniac's kind of busy at the moment with Spider-Man, but they'll have to do something afterwards. This is a dearly beloved IP that PlayStation, I believe, owns. I don't believe it's owned by Insomniac, otherwise we might have seen it elsewhere. And I think that was a byproduct of the fact that Insomniac developed Spyro back in the day, like how Naughty Dog developed Crash Bandicoot, and both of those got picked up by Universal off the back of the PS1 era, and I think the consequence is PlayStation was not prepared to let that sort of loss happen again.
Get back here, you miserable defect.
Oh, it was a bit too slow to get moving.
Try outrunning this.
Oh.
I'm gonna rip you apart, sprocket by sprocket.
We'll keep running.
Water. Ah!
We'll keep getting out of here with Clank.
Computer, set coordinates for the Galactic Ranger home base.
Destination set. We will never make it, but hey, what are you gonna do?
Oh dear.
We'll let this scene play out, and then we might wrap things up, because we've now seen a bit of Ratchet, we've seen a bit of Clank, and we may see the two of them together right away, right now.
I'll never be a ranger.
What?
There we go. The duo is together at last.
3, 2, 1.
No vector shell damage. Sister board appears to be intact.
I must get to Alero City. They are in danger.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Hey, who's in danger?
An army is coming. I must warn them.
Hang on, slow down. You've been in a crash. What do you say we get you back to my garage? I'll run a diagnostic and have you fixed up in no time.
Thank you. I appreciate the assistance.
It's no problem. So, what do I call you?
I suppose my proper designation is Warbot Defect B54296.
Maybe I'll just call you Clank. My name's Ratchet.
Now, one of the interesting things here is that in the original take on the game, these two did not get along at the beginning, and it took quite a while for their relationship to develop. Whereas now, best buddies straight away, but that's the difference in perspective that we're getting from Quark.
Leave the proto engine on in the garage. The answer to all these questions was yes.
All right, hang on. I'll get us back to the garage.
Alright, and that is where we'll wrap things up. So that was about the first 20 minutes or so of Ratchet and Clank, the 2016 reboot. I hope you enjoyed it, and please consider picking it up if you did. It was available free on PlayStation Plus at one point, but I can assume that it's probably fairly cheap to get now. I know it wasn't a full price game when it first came out. And Insomniac does fantastic work. Ratchet and Clank, this reboot, was fantastic. It was one of the best games of the year that year, one that I am still quite a fan of. If you enjoyed this episode though, please consider liking, sharing and subscribing to the channel. All those buttons are down below here, and hit that notification bell. That way you're alerted to every new video as it goes live. That includes Patched, the Video Games Club, The Insider, Player 2 Plays, a brand new show called Gamer School that I've got debuting in just a matter of days from the moment you see this, and a whole lot more. There's some awesome stuff there, so please go and check it out. For written content, make sure to visit the website player2.net.au, where you'll find reviews, previews, opinion pieces, news, features, the Player 2 Writers Draft, and a whole lot more. There's some awesome content there contributed by some of the best talent in Australia, so please make sure to go and check it out. We're also on Patreon, patreon.com/player2au, and consider throwing in a few dollars. At the lower tiers, you'll get early access to episodes such as this, such as Patch, such as The Insider, maybe even Gamer School, TBD on that one. At the higher tiers, you get exclusive episodes, and at the top tier, you can join us in the monthly Player 2 podcast. There's some awesome incentives there, and you are helping the Player 2 dream to grow, so thank you in advance for your support. For rolling updates, you can find me at PaulJamesP2 on Twitter, the website you can find at Player2AU on Twitter, and until next time, that was Ratchet and Clank. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you very much for watching. Cheers.